Sì, è così, lo dica Israele, dica che il suo amore è per sempre. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Il Signore sia con voi.
The Lord be with you,
Vangelo secondo Luca.
and with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
In quel tempo
At that time, Jesus said, "A man gave a great dinner to which he invited many. When the time for the dinner came, he dispatched his servant to say to those invited, 'Come, everything is now ready.' But one by one, they all began to excuse themselves. The first said to him, 'I have purchased a field and must go to examine it. I ask you, consider me excused.' And another said, 'I have purchased 5 yoke of oxen and am on my way to evaluate them. I ask you, consider me excused.' And another said, 'I have just married a woman, and therefore I cannot come.' The servant went and reported this to his master. Then the master of the house, in a rage, commanded his servant, 'Go out quickly into the streets and alleys of the town, and bring in here the poor and the crippled, the blind and the lame.' The servant reported, 'Sir, your orders have been carried out, and still there is room.' The master then ordered the servant, 'Go out to the highways and hedgerows, and make people come in, that my home may be filled.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
il servo disse: Signore, è stato fatto come hai ordinato, ma c'è ancora posto. Il padrone allora disse al servo: esci per le strade e lungo le siepi e costringili a entrare, perché la mia casa si riempia. Parola del Signore.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
Si presentino coloro che devono essere ordinati.
Let those who are to be ordained as deacons come forward. Slaven Skazlish and Hubert Skorzinski. I am ready and willing.
Sei certo che ne siano degni?
Are you sure that they are worthy? You can all sit.
Reverendissimo Padre, Eccellenza Reverendissima, cari fratelli sacerdoti, diaconi, carissimi
Brothers, deacons, priests, boys and girls of the community, family of Hubert and Slaven, and all friends here present, dear Mother Elvira, and the sisters which assist her and are watching us through the live stream. Dear missionaries of all the houses far away, with joy in our hearts for this moment which we are currently living here, this people of God reunited in some chapters in the walk of faith in the lives of Fratel Slaven Skazlic and Hubert Skorzinski, to receive the gift of being diaconized. Hubert was born in 1981. His birthday was yesterday. He was the firstborn, followed by two sisters. 27th of September 1981, he was baptized. He was baptized in the parish of St. Nicholas, in the parish of Tachin, a small parish near Warsaw, where he lived. He went there, he participated there as an altar boy, breathing the strong faith of the Polish people. In his teenage years, his family lives many challenges which were linked with the changing political situation in Poland, linked with the fall of communism. Hubert asks deep questions about the values in which he was educated, and he is put into crisis by new challenges, and his soul is troubled and couldn't find the right answers in which he trusted. For this reason, he falls into a rebellion against good, finding himself praying, "Lord, if you love the lost sheep so much, and I, until now, have tried to behave well, perhaps I am not so important for you in this story." This trial furthers him always more from the church, from the faith of his family and from his parish, searching for something different, where he can feel better and, above all, free. But this something different generates in him sadness, anger, and much delusion with himself and with the world that surrounds him. A deep, profound emptiness which is not able to be filled by any material object or any pleasures. The hand of God comes close to him and brings him to Community Cenacolo. In October of 2001, he enters in the house of Verbovec in Croatia with a sad soul and with little hope of changing his life, but the Lord was waiting for him. When the boys accompanied him into the small chapel for a moment of adoration, his heart was moved, feeling a profound sensation of having finally returned home. The embrace of God calms him and fills him with hope and peace. The encounter of Mother Elvira and the friendship always deeper with the boys with whom he walks with wakes up a voice which invites him always strongly to give himself. He goes back to Poland, putting himself into the service of all those who are entering into the community in Poland and their families, experiencing the joy of being a testimony of hope. Allows him to be reborn and encourages him to respond to this consecrated life which he felt from when he was young. In 2008, he enters into the family of consecrated brothers of Cenacolo and then starts to study philosophy and theology in Fossano, Italy. After 2 years of philosophy, he went to the mission of Guadalupe in Mexico, where he was again put in the service of abandoned orphan children in Mexico, and there he starts to experience a paternity which is more mature and is able to love the young children always more. After finishing his theological studies and after having embraced fully his vows of poverty, chastity and obedience and love and service of the poor, starts the next chapter of the walk which brings him to ordinated life, a surprise of the Holy Spirit to be sent to accompany the first steps of our newest mission in the Philippines. Having initially wanted to remain only 2 or 3 months, he stayed there 3 years, until last May.
Pochi compagni di avventura, tanti sacrifici e tanta
And
fiducia in Dio.
many sacrifices were asked of him, far away from the heart of the community, with also the problem of the pandemic.
Sono gli anni in cui la vita
These are the years in which life confirms its proposition to be ordained as a priest, embracing the charisma of the community, being faithful to the Lord in prayer and in the frequency of receiving the sacraments, serving a full time in generosity and in the spirit of sacrifice, testifies the beauty of life given to the Lord, to friends, and to young people.
Frater Slaven
Brother Slaven, who was born in Varaždin in Croatia on the 26th of December in 1977 to a father Valda and mother Biserka.
l'infanzia nella casa familiare con loro,
In the beginning, in their house, during his childhood, he had a sister younger than him, and they lived a simple life. He received the sacrament of baptism in April 1978, but the gift of the faith was not cultivated in their family. He was given a good education and the love of his parents during his childhood, but he felt missing the sense of life. This missing sense of life grew during his teenage years, and how many young people today, Slaven begins to live disappointment and rebellion, looking for pleasure of worldly things. All of his searches and his temptations to find the meaning of life bring him far, far away from his family and bring him delusion, confusion, and loneliness. After various temptations, tempting him to leave this darkness, his parents indicate to him the way of Community Cenacolo as hope for him to re-find his life.
momento cruciale del suo cammino di
A crucial moment of his walk was his first encounter with Mother Overa in the fraternity of St. Joseph the Worker in his city of Varaždin. It was the 16th of May 2002, and the mother was visiting the boys of that house. Providence and the tenderness of God wanted that on that day, Slaven, living a hard day, wanted him to start his walk of resurrection. There was much sadness and delusion in his heart, united with humiliation of a failed life, full of bad choices. That day, Mother Overa was speaking to the boys, sees Slaven, and fixing her gaze on him, she brings herself close to him. He finds much embarrassment in front of her sister, but she instead comes close, and without saying anything, embraces him strongly. And in that moment, he feels that the embrace of that mother that didn't have any fear of his interior hell came from someone much greater, and inside of him a hope was born. 4 days after, at 24 years old, he enters into Verbovic in Croatia, and he is transferred to Saluzzo, where he sees the first steps of his walking community, meeting boys that taught him how to pray, to work, how to ask forgiveness and how to forgive, to raise one's head and to feel the beauty of being true. Uncovering in prayer the welcoming light of Jesus who heals wounds. After a couple of hours, after a couple of days in Casalalita in Italy, Slaven receives the sacraments of First Communion and of Confirmation. His friendship with the Lord grows, and the presence of the Lord in the Eucharist and in the sacrament of confession, in listening to the word of the Lord, spoke always more strongly to his heart. In 2005, a couple months after Hubert coming to Poland, the Providence brought Slaven also to Poland, a country which became very important in the uncovering of his call. Community life with its sacrifices and its everyday fights and battles. With the boys, many priests and the sisters touched his heart most deeply, and the community there became his family. His joys and his hopes became those of the boys he would welcome and accompany during their walk and his walk from the darkness to the light. To be with them, with their families, was a great gift. Miracles of life reborn, thanks to the encounter of the mercy of God. These years lived in Poland, nearly 10, accompanied by pilgrimages to Częstochowa, were fundamental in maturing his calling to the priesthood. In February 2008, during a retreat to Lord, he feels in his heart the calling to a consecrated life. And after many years of discerning, he, in 2011, is welcomed into the Formation House. And in 2014 starts his study of philosophy and theology, again in Fossano. In 2019, June, Slaven completes his studies, and then in November of the same year, leaves for Brazil, where he lived until 1 month ago, in our mission, Our Lady of Tenderness in Mogi das Cruzes, near to St. Sao Paulo, living with the brothers and sisters consecrated in the service of welcoming children, teenagers, and young people in need of hope. He went to Brazil knowing that he did not know this world of children and their wounds, but the friendship he found there sustained him, and in stories full of suffering and sadness, the small children with eyes full of hope, he gave the best of himself in simplicity, and thanking the Lord for the gift of life. Many of the children will call him Father, a confirmation of what he wants to be for everyone today, an experience of suffering which helps him to deepen further his reply to the Lord. The mission of Mogi was also enhanced by particular crosses, sickness, and also the death of Brother Peter, who today celebrates with us from heaven. And in sickness of our sister Diane, they work on themselves inside, birthing a more mature relationship based on the beauty of life, giving everything to God. Most Holy Father, dearest everyone here, we can testify today that in these 20 years, in the various areas of Cenacolo that we've lived in, Brother Hubert and Brother Slaven have matured in the quality of their service, in God and of their brothers. Many young people that have shared their walk with them have found friends that are good and faithful, brothers and fathers, serious in their walk of faith and in their walk of prayer, simple and serene in the gift of themselves. We feel their presence as a great gift of the Lord, together with their families, all of the community, especially the people of Cenacolo from Croatia and Poland. Here, numerous live the joy of their reply to the Lord and sustain them with much prayer, and recognizing the Father that He has called them in this great work. For all of this, and from the information brought in by the people, by the Christian people, today we can testify that Slaven Slavic and Hubert Kuczynski are worthy of receiving the order of deacon. With the help of God, we choose these our brothers into the order of the deacon. We give thanks to God.
Leggo il decreto episcopale che li accoglie nel diaconato.
I'm going to read the
Cristiano Bodo, per
decree.
grazia di Dio e della Santa Sede Apostolica, Vescovo di Saluzzo, vista la domanda in data 19 giugno 2022 dei seminaristi
The question from the
Slaven e
seminaries.
Hubert, domiciliati in Saluzzo presso la comunità Cenacolo,
Here in the community of Saluzzo, presented at the community Cenacolo to be presented for being diaconized, hearing the positive response from your brothers of Cenacolo, from Father Stefano, and of all of us priests, confirms the response to the question to the Diocese of Cuneo that Slaven and Hubert are put over to the hands of the Diocese of Cuneo. With the response of yes, we believe that they are ready on the day of 16th of July of 2022, Cenacolo, Saluzzo.
È un grande dono
It's a great gift that the Lord has made to all of us. The gift to give strength to a woman who is strong, simple, but full of God. Madre Vera. They're coming up the mountain today, the 16th of July. We take memory of the Our Lady of Carmel. She knew to call so many youth, so many men, so many women to follow her up this mountain, and with her to welcome the grace of God. My dear Hubert and Slaven, you also now, after your walk up the mountain, are part even more of the Church of God that is in Saluzzo. You are His children, and you are present in the prayer of all our church and of all the community of Cenacolo, that we enthusiastically feel to also be a part of. This our diocese, and you are today and forevermore in mine and in our prayer. I will serve you with joy, my Lord, in your home. It could be this, the phrase to print in your hearts and in your minds. For this day, it will be unforgettable in your lives of men as Christians. I will serve you with joy, Lord, in your home. These words, my dear brothers, can be today what goes together with your life. And they should be traced as a course that day after day, and your faithful decision to your calling, to your vocation that God has always had for you, and that He accompanied you and He will continue to accompany you forever. He will guide you to the realization to become fully yourselves, and the realization, the fullness of life, and to fall in love always more in God. Present, working, light, strength, and hope of the life of all men, of all women, of goodwill. You may, with us and with all of your great family of Cenacolo, make your invitation that the Holy Father, Pope Francis, gave to your community some months ago in Rome. In the community of Rome, Cenacolo, that the feast is for you. And the feast is to know that you are loved, chosen, guided, and brought up by God. What a feast it should be, also for you all. My dear Hubert and Slaven, today, my dearest, you are called into a service in the prayer and the ordination of becoming a deacon. In fact, I will ask for you all that God, our Father, that make an example of your life can be a constant calling of to the gospel, and that can inspire imitators to come to the people of God and the community of Cenacolo, that in your church here, and that this calling can be consistently at the meditation to the announcement of the word of the gospel, the happy news, and that your calling as becoming deacons, and that your becoming a deacon can remain forever inside of you. As the bishop, when he celebrates the solemn liturgy and he puts on his habit of service, you are, as it said, the canon deacons, orderly and for service, and that service is the sign, the permanent sign of Christ, that is, who knelt down to wash the feet. It's the sign that can never be removed of the Good Samaritan, that recognizes and takes on the responsibility going outside of the norms of all around him. After listening to the gospel and the second lecture, when it's told of a night that Saint Francis of Assisi saying that he didn't know that there was the presence of this relic of Saint Francis that had come from the hand, an invisible hand. One night, Saint Francis of Assisi woke up his neighbors that were sleeping. He called them to him and said to them, I invoked the Lord so that he could indicate to me when I'm a servant and when I'm not, because I would not want to be anything else except for his servant. And the Lord, in his immense knowledge, and has responded to me. I recognize my servant truly when you think, say, and react wholly to the light of the gospel. For this, I called you brothers, so that because Francis says to his brothers, I want to show to all of you that if I've made mistakes in being your servant, and we know well that St. Francis is a deacon of the church, and he knew to make flesh like St. Stefano and St. Lawrence, the deacons and martyrs, this service as a complete giving of oneself. In the prayer, my dearest, in the prayer of the ordination, you also ask the Lord to have a clear conscience of your identity and of your mission. Don't think otherwise, but only serve and think of yourself as useless servants. And when someone thinks of themselves as a useless servant and lives humility with whomever he meets, and who knows to put himself to listen and at the help of the others. We are servants, useless servants. It's like for every man and woman, especially for you two, my dearest Slaven and Hubert, you will repeat frequently. And that way, each day, you will be able to be facilitators, always that are humble everywhere, in the moment of your trials and in moments of joy. It's a good exercise, the way St. Paul says, in the community of the Philippines. The vocation to become a deacon, as all other calling is, as all other project of life that comes from the Lord, has a promise in it. Don't be afraid. I will be with you. And today, he repeats it to you all, the Lord. I am with you, together with the great family of Cenacolo, together with the great family of the Church. The Lord is with us, is with you all, always. Your walk, your spiritual walk, become deacons should be this, to become in a way that your thoughts, words, actions corresponds like this with your life to a true testimony of a joyful service made out of love. Some years ago, I think that maybe it was in 2019, the relic was presented by the sisters of the Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Mother Teresa. She found the strength to serve, the strength to give testimony to the gospel in the prayer, which is a foundation of your family of Cenacolo. Madre Vira wanted that, and she put it as one of the keys to the construction of this work, loved and blessed by God. Pope Francis, our holy and beloved Father, and something he wrote, the great risk of the world and of each and every one of us, of all believers, is when your interior life is closed and its own entrance and doesn't leave any more space for the others. When we don't listen anymore in silence, the voice of God between all of the other voices, and you don't listen, you don't take joy in His love. You don't see any more the enthusiasm. You don't live any more the enthusiasm the desire to do good, even though all of the bad that is around you. Fall in love always more, the way he always says, the way St. Thomas always says about St. Francis. He didn't understand anymore that St. Francis of Assisi, when he was immersed in God and when he lived service and love. I too desire with strength to invite you to never tire yourselves, to work for good, with love and for love. Love unites God, which gives us the strength. No, it's He Himself, the strength in each of you, in each of us, so that we may work for good. And when in the walk of your lives that will be prepared, a preparation to become a priest, or it seems that the strength becomes less, go back to the rock and into the real presence of the Lord in the tabernacle, and remain there with your feet bare, to show your and our poverty, pulling from the gospel the words that can indicate the way ahead of you, so that the Word of God can be truly the foundation of all of your ministry as priest. And so then you'll say in that day, here is our God, and He we hoped, so that He may save us. This is the Lord, in which we hoped. We bring joy and exalt for His salvation, because the hand of the Lord will be laid on top of us, on top of all of you. And dear Hubert and Slaven, let us make space in our lives for the Lord each day. You'll find space for the brothers and the sisters in love of the Lord. It will be given all around you, thanks to your ministry as deacons. That it may be a feast for us, and may it be a feast for you all. My dear friends in the Lord, Hubert and Slaven.